Hello everybody and welcome back to Magic the Gathering Arena. It's me, Dark Mazda, for Dark Mazda Series Gaming. Been a long time since I did a Magic the Gathering episode, and the main reason for that being is that I've never really had enough cards to be able to change the decks around and make different content from episode to episode. I'm going to try and do things a little differently this time around for the Kamigawa Neon Dynasty release, and we're going to try and, well, basically have enough rares and mythic rares to mix and match and play different sorts of decks, try loads of different decks out and see what we can muster and how far through the rankings we can actually get. Let's see if we can make it to like mythic, or, you know, I mean, not mythic straight away, but you know, the furthest we've got so far is platinum. I don't think I've shown that on an episode, but the furthest I've been is platinum. And I think from there's diamond, and then from diamond it's like mythic. So any progress would be great. We've got a hell of a lot of new cards to look at today. This is basically what this episode is. We're going to open up the pre-order bundle that I pre-ordered, obviously, which got me 50 packs of the new Kamigawa Neon Dynasty cards. This card that I need to flip over, and the Wandering Emperor. It's a Planeswalker with flash. As long as the Wandering Emperor entered the battlefield this turn, you may activate her loyalty abilities anytime you could cast an instant. And then for +1, you've got to put a +1/+1 counter on up to one target creature, gains first strike until the end of turn. For the -1, create a 2/2 white samurai creature token with vigilance. And for -2, exile target tapped creature, you gain 2 life. So, yeah, sounds pretty good for like a white deck, basically. And it's flash as well, so while they're attacking, you can flash it in. -1, create the 2/2 white samurai creature token, and then you can defend, so you've got an extra defender. Or you could +1 something which you've already got defending. Say if it's a 2/2 that's attacking you and you've got a 2/2 and it looks like an even trade, you put the Wandering Emperor out and you can +1 and put the +1/1 counter on your 2/2, and then it survives the combat. So that could be a nice little strategy that you could get going there. So I'm going to flip this card as well. Oh right, so it is the Wandering Emperor is what we've got,
and I will protect my people.
So my what do you call it? Untapped.gg, is it untapped.gg? Is asking me to restart so that it can sync the collection and what have you not. I'll do that in a moment. The other 3 packs, so there's a code, you type it in on the store, it's Playneo, Playneo, and that'll give you 3 Kamigawa Neon Dynasty packs. So let's claim these, and I will just dismiss this for now. So what we're going to do is we are going to open up our packs in this episode, and we're going to see what new cards there are. We're going to run through them, see what's what, increase our wild cards as well. We've already been saving those up as well. If there's any cards that we need to complete some decks, we'll just open one at a time until we start seeing more of the same cards. So we've got a Futurist Sentinel. That's a vehicle, cruise 3. So we tap any number of other creatures you control with total power 3 or more, and then that can come on the battlefield. That's a 6/6. That's pretty sweet. Sky Swimmer Koi. It's a creature. It's a fish, flying. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. And this is a Saga, Befriending the Moths. Target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains flying until the end of the turn. So that's the first 2 stages. The third is exile this Saga, then return it transformed under our control, and then it becomes an Imperial Moth with flying. It's a 2/4. Kami of Industry. So it's a spirit creature. When Kami of Industry enters the battlefield, return target artifact card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. And then we've got Akiba Salvage. Return target creature or vehicle card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Then put 2 1/1 counters on that permanent if you control an artifact and an enchantment. And our rare card is Invoke the Winds. It's a sorcery. Gain control of target artifact or creature and untap it. Right, that was a good little start for our first pack. Let's see what else we've got. We've got a Moon Circuit Hacker. Whenever Moon Circuit Hacker deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card unless Moon Circuit Hacker entered the battlefield this turn. And it's a ninjutsu card. So basically, return an unblocked attacker you control to hand. Put this card onto the battlefield from your hand tapped and attacking. So anything that's not blocked you can exchange with something in your hand and switch them out for the remainder of the turn. Regent's Authority. It's an instant card. Target creature gets +2/+2 until the end of the turn. If it's an enchantment creature or a legendary creature, instead put a 1/1 counter on it and it gets 1/1 until the end of the turn. And that's nice for a little mono white deck. You can buff up some of these creatures. Ecologist's Terrarium. When Ecologist's Terrarium enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. And for 2, you can tap, sacrifice Ecologist's Terrarium, put a 1/1 counter on target creature, activate only as a sorcery. So if you need the extra 1/1 counter on something, you can sacrifice it as well. Clawing Torment. Enchant artifact or creature. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets -1/-1 and can't block. Enchanted permanent has, at the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life. So we can use that to chip away at life, or we can use that to power down some of the enemy creatures, and also they can't block as well, so you know, the only thing that you can do is attack. Favour of the Jukai. Enchant artifact or creature. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +3/+3 and has reach. And this has got the channel ability for 1 plus a green. Discard Favour of Jukai. Target creature gets +3/+3 and gains reach until the end of the turn. Now, nice, that's nice as well. Bronze Plate Boar. So it's an equipment boar, artifact creature. Trample. So any damage is transferred over onto the player. A quick creature gets +3/+2 and has trample. Reconfigure for 5. So attached to target creature you control or unattached from a creature. Reconfigure only as a sorcery. While attached, this isn't a creature. Okay. We've got Runaway Trashbot, and this is a artifact creature construct. Runaway Trashbot gets +1/+0 for each artifact and or enchantment card in your graveyard. Well, we've got here Tribute to Hirobi. Each opponent creates a 1/1 Black Rat Rogue creature token. Exile this saga, then return it to the battlefield, and then that transforms into an enchantment creature spirit with flying and haste. Echo of Death's Wail. Echo of Death's Wail enters the battlefield. Gain control of all rat tokens. Whenever Echo of Death's Wail attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, draw a card. Well, that sounds quite handy. Now the third pack, let's have a look. Explosive Entry. Destroy up to 1 target artifact, put a 1/1 counter on up to 1 target creature. Nice. Dramatist's Puppet. When Dramatist's Puppet enters the battlefield, for each kind of counter on target permanent, put another counter of that kind on it or remove 1 from it. And that's a 2/4 for 4 mana. A Mirror Shell Crab for 7 mana. Ward 3, so whenever a permanent with ward becomes the target of a spell, it counter it unless that player pays the ward cost, in which case it's 3. So if you're casting a 2 mana spell, it ends up being 5 mana to be able to counter it. Channel. Discard Mirror Shell Crab, counter target spell or ability unless its controller pays 3. Fang of Shigeki. It's got a Death Touch 1/1 enchantment creature. Snake Ninja. There we have it. Blossoming Sands. This is our first land card. Blossoming Sands enters the battlefield tapped. When Blossoming Sands enter the battlefield, you gain 1 life. I'm going to add green or white with that one. Replication Specialist. Moonfolk Artificer. Whenever a non-token artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1 plus a blue. If you do, create a token that's a copy of the artifact. And what have we got here? March of the Otherworldly Light. So it's an X and a white. It's an instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may exile any number of white cards from your hand. This spell costs 2 less to cast for each card exiled this way. Exile target artifact, creature or enchantment with mana value X or less. Next up, we've got a lot to go through in this episode. I've just realised how much of a task this is. I mean, we could open 10 at a time and just look at the rares, but I want to see a bit of everything. I hope you do too. Papercraft Decoy for 2 mana. It's an artifact creature frog. When Papercraft Decoy leaves the battlefield, you may pay 2. If you do, draw a card. Notice that a lot of these are artifacts, so this set's mainly around artifacts and equipments and the new mechanics. Geothermal Kami. When Geothermal Kami enters the battlefield, you may return an enchantment you control to its owner's hand. If you do, you gain 3 life, and that's a 4/3. Jukai Trainee. Human Samurai. Whenever Jukai Trainee blocks or becomes blocked, it gets a +1/+1 until the end of the turn. Harmonious Emergence. Enchant land you control. Enchanted land is a 4/5 green spirit creature with vigilance and haste. It's still a land. If enchanted land would be destroyed, instead sacrifice Harmonious Emergence and that land gains indestructible until the end of the turn. Well, that sounds pretty nice for green decks. Swiftwater Cliffs. Swiftwater Cliffs enters the battlefield tapped. It's the same as the other one. You gain 1 life, but it just adds a blue and a red instead. Generous Visitor. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. Seismic Wave. Deals 2 damage to any target and 1 damage to each non-artifact creature target opponent controls. And we have got Invoke Calamity for 5 mana. You may cast up to 2 instant and or sorcery spells with total mana value 6 or less from your graveyard and or hand without paying their mana costs. Those spells will be put into your graveyard. Exile them instead. Right, well that sounds quite powerful. And what have we got here then? Coiling Stalker. Ninjutsu. Whenever Coiling Stalker deals combat damage to a player, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control that doesn't have a 1/1 counter on it. It's the second one of those that we've got. Reckoner's Bargain. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice an artifact or creature. You gain life equal to the sacrificed permanent's mana value. Draw 2 cards. Experimental Synthesizer. It's an artifact. When Experimental Synthesizer enters or leaves the battlefield, exile the top card of your library until end of the turn. You may play that card, and for 3 mana, sacrifice Experimental Synthesizer, create a 2/2 white samurai creature token with vigilance, activate owns as a sorcery. So there's the token on the left there, the 2/2. Twin Shot Sniper for 4 mana. We've got it, it's got reach, so that's handy for the flyers. When Twin Shot Sniper enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to any target. So it kind of reminds me of the the giant. When you used to put that into the battlefield, it used to take 2 damage off anybody. And for the channel cost, which is 2, discard Twin Shot Sniper. It deals 2 damage to any target. Right, so you can enter it in the battlefield, do 2 damage, then channel it and do another 2 damage. So that's pretty handy if you need to kill something off pretty quickly. Go Shintai of Lost Wisdom. So it's a flyer. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay 1. When you do, target player mills X cards, where X is the number of shrines you control. Right, so this is a nice one for the rogue kind of mill decks. Kodama of the West Tree. This is our first mythic card. Modified creatures you control have trample. Whenever a modified creature you control deals combat damage to a player, search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Lovely. So you see that this ecologist's terrarium hasn't got a first on it. We're going to see quite a lot more of that as we open up the cards. So if I skip over some of them, that's because we've already described them. So Ambitious Assault. Creatures you control get +2/+0 until the end of the turn. If you control a modified creature, draw a card. Dokushi Shadow Walker for 6. It's got ninjutsu for 4. Return an unblocked attacker you control to the hand. And it's a 5/5. Wanderer's Intervention. Deals 4 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. Scoured Barrens. So that's the same as the other lands we've got. It just adds white or black. And you gain 1 life. We've got another one of these. We've already seen that. Azusa's Many Journeys. You may play an additional land this turn. So this is for a ramp deck. You gain 3 life. Could also be for the green-white deck. The Celestia. Exile this saga. Return it transformed. So it turns into a human monk. Whenever likeness of the seeker becomes blocked, untap up to 3 lands you control. So that's a very nice card if you can get it that far. Imperial Recovery Unit. Whenever Imperial Recovery Unit attacks, return target creature or vehicle card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to your hand, and it's a crew cost of 2. Now there's quite a lot of vehicles in this set. I'm quite liking there that they're going to start using vehicles quite heavily. Tatsunari Toad Rider. Oh, that's amazing, look at that. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, if you don't control a creature named Kaimi, create Kaimi, a legendary 3/3 black and green frog creature token with, whenever you cast an enchantment spell, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So for, what is that, 2 mana? Tatsunari Toad Rider and target frog you control can't be blocked this turn except by creatures with flying or reach. That sounds pretty sweet. So we must have already seen this. Yep, Favour of Jukai. Yep, Jukai Trainee. We've seen that. Kami of Restless Shadows. When Kami of Restless Shadows enters the battlefield, choose 1. Return up to 1 target ninja or rogue creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Put target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. Automated Artist Fair. Add a mana. Spend this mana only to activate an ability or cast an artifact spell. We've seen the Moon Circuit Hacker. Boon of Buzeju. It's an instant. Target creature gets +X until end of turn, where X is the greatest mana value among permanents you control. Untap it. Selfless Samurai. A creature, it's a fox samurai. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, it gains lifelink until the end of turn. Sacrifice Selfless Samurai. Another target creature you control gains indestructible until the end of the turn. And we have got Eater of Virtue, a legendary artifact equipment. Whenever a quick creature dies, exile it. A quick creature gets +2/+0. As long as a card exiled with Eater of Virtue has flying, a quick creature has flying. The same is true for First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Protection, Reach, Trample and Vigilance. Wow, that is a really good card. Wow. Yep, that's going to be a fun one. Network Terminal. Add 1 mana of any colour, and for 1 mana, tap another untapped artifact you control, draw a card and discard a card. Uncharted Haven. Uncharted Haven enters the battlefield tapped. Uncharted Haven enters the battlefield, choose a colour, and then you can tap it to add 1 mana of the chosen colour. Cyber Trespassers. I like that, cyber. It's in cyber, yeah. Moonfolk Rogue. For channel, it's for 4 mana, discard Cyber Trespassers, tap up to 2 target creatures you don't control. Those creatures don't untap during their controller's next untap step. Suit Up. Instant. Until the end of the turn, target creature or vehicle becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 4/5. Draw a card. got another Swiftwater Cliffs. I think we've almost got a playset of those. And just remember, a playset is 4 of a particular card. We've had this one as well, Azusa's Many Journeys. We've got an uncommon wild card. Oh, and we've got a Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Create a 2/2 red Goblin Shaman creature token with whenever this creature attacks, create a treasure token. Stage 2, you may discard up to 2 cards. If you do, draw that many cards. Stage 3, it gets transformed under your control, and it's Reflection of Kiki Jiki. Create a token that's a copy of another target non-legendary creature you control, except it has haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. Next up, we have got Simian Sling. It's an equipment monkey. Equipped creature gets +1/+1. Whenever Simian Sling or equipped creature becomes blocked, deals 1 damage to defending player. And it's got a reconfigure cost of 2, so we can equip that to somebody else. Tawashi Songshaper. It's the weird DJ guy. Whenever another artifact enters the battlefield under your control, Tawashi Songshaper gets +1/+0 until the end of the turn. We've seen Kami of Restless Shadows. We've got Akiba Reckoner Raid. There's a lot of sagas in this set as well. Each opponent for stage 1 and 2 loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. And then it's for stage 3, we exile it and it's transformed into the Nezumi Road Captain. It's a 2/2, it's a rat rogue. Vehicles you control have menace. And we've got a Mech Hanger. It's a land, add colourless mana, and then tap, add 1 mana of any colour, spend this mana only to cast a pilot or vehicle spell. Or for 3 we can tap it, target vehicle becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. And we've got Go Shintai of Shared Purpose, and it's a shrine. At the beginning of your end step you may pay 1. If you do, create a 1/1 colourless spirit creature token for each shrine you control. And we've got a Springleaf Avenger. Ninjutsu for 4. Whenever Springleaf Avenger deals combat damage to a player, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. And that is a 6/5. It's quite... it's not surprising for a green creature to have quite high attack and defense. We only threw about what 10 packs here, so we've got quite a lot to go through. Virus Beetle. Oh, that looks nice. Artifact creature insect. When Virus Beetle enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card. Era of Enlightenment. Scry 2 for stage 1. You gain 2 life for stage 2. And then we exile it and transform it on stage 3 to the Hand of Enlightenment, which is a 2/2 with first strike. Dragonfly Suit. It's got flying and a crew cost of 1. Says what it does on the tin. Seven-Tail Mentor. Fox Samurai. When Seven-Tail Mentor enters the battlefield or dies, put a 1/1 counter on target creature or vehicle you control. And we've got Rugged Highlands, which is the Gruul version of the lands. It's red or a green. Got Flame Discharge. Flame Discharge deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker. If you controlled a modified creature as you cast this spell, it deals X+2 damage instead. And we've got Boseiju Reaches Skyward. Stage 1. Search your library for up to 2 basic forest cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle. Be good for a ramp deck. Stage 2. Put up to 1 target land card from your graveyard on top of your library. And then Exile Saga, return it to the battlefield transformed. And it becomes Branch of Boseiju. And it's an enchantment creature plant. And it's got reach. Branch of Boseiju gets +1/+1 for each land you control. So that's the reason for the ramp there. So that's going to be, if we can get it that far, that's going to be a very, very strong creature card, because you've got the 2 basic land that you reveal, and then you're putting 1 on top of your library for on top of your library for the next turn, and you have to have 4 land to be able to cast it anyway, so it's potentially 4, 5, 6, 7 by the next turn, so it's potentially a 7/7 by you get it out. And we've got a rare wild card, so that's always nice to have. Here we go, we have got a Thundersteel Colossus for 7 mana, Trample Haste and a crew of 2, and it's a 7/7. That's quite powerful, but you've got to get to 7 mana first, and that's providing that it doesn't get removed straight away as well. We've seen Kami of Industry. We've got an Aki Ronin. It's a Goblin Samurai. Whenever a Samurai or Warrior you control attacks alone, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. We've got Shrine Steward, Artifact Creature Construct. When Shrine Steward enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an aura or shrine card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. We've got a Dismal Backwater. So this is the Demia coloured manas, the blue or black. You gain the 1 life, just like the other ones. I'm glad we're picking up a few of these. Flame Discharge, we've seen that one. Enthusiastic Mechanaut. So this is probably an Izzet deck. Flying, artifact spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Cloudsteel Kirin. Equipment Kirin. It's flying. Equipped creature has flying, and you can't lose the game, and your opponents can't win the game. Right. And reconfigure cost for 5. So it's one of those weird ones, like the Book of Exalted Deeds, I think it is, or something like that. Was it the Book of Exalted Deeds, where you like attach it to a land, and then like unless you've got land removal, like a field of destruction, you can't really do anything about it. I'm hoping this card doesn't turn out like that. There's nothing worse than dragging out a game to the point where you can't lose. You can't win, you can't lose. What's the point, you know? So we've seen Era of Enlightenment. So we've got Debt to the Kami. Choose 1. Target opponent exiles a creature they control, or target opponent exiles an enchantment they control. We've got an Ancestral Katana. Artifact Equipment. Whenever a Samurai or Warrior you control attacks alone, you may pay 1. When you do, attach Ancestral Katana to it. Equipped creature gets +2/+1, and it's an equip cost of 3. Inkrise Infiltrator. Human Ninja, flying, and for 4 mana, Inkrise Infiltrator gets +2/+2 until the end of the turn. We've got a Tranquil Cove. So this is the Azorius coloured land with the white or blue. We'll probably go into an Azorius deck and gain 1 life. Heiko Yamazaki, the General. Trample. Whenever a Samurai or Warrior you control attacks alone, you may cast target artifact card from your graveyard this turn. We've seen the Generous Visitor. So we've got Takenuma Abandoned Maya. It's a legendary land. So we add black, channel for 4, discard Takenuma Abandoned Maya, mill 3 cards, then return a creature or planeswalker card from your graveyard to your hand. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature you control. You can see those being very good lands for decks. We're still getting a lot of firsts, which is really good. Moonsnare Prototype. It's an artifact. Tap an untapped artifact or creature you control. Add colourless mana. Or for 5, discard Moonsnare Prototype. The owner of target non-land permanent puts it on the top or bottom of their library, and that's the channel ability. We've seen the Mirashell Crab and the Dokuchi Shadow Walker. So Undercity Scrounger. We've got a human rogue, and tap it, create a treasure token, activate only if a creature died this turn. We've definitely got a play set of those. Go Shintai of Ancient Wars. So this is the red version of the other shrine. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay 1. When you do, Goshin Tai of Ancient Wars deals X damage to target player or planeswalker, where X is the number of shrines you control. A Roadside Reliquary, it's a land. Add for color, tap to add colourless mana. For 2, you can tap it, sacrifice Roadside Reliquary, draw a card if you control an artifact, draw a card if you control an enchantment. And we've got Farewell. Now, wow, look at this one. This is definitely going in a lot of decks, I can tell. For 6 mana, choose 1 or more. Oh, you just choose all of them, wouldn't you? You would probably have to put some sort of protection on your things though, like put indestructible on your creatures and then exile all creatures. That would be pretty sweet. But choose 1 or more. Exile all artifacts, exile all creatures, exile all enchantments, exile all graveyards. Nice. Short Circuit. Flash. So we can flash this in. Enchant artifact or creature. As long as an enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets -3/-0 and loses flying. The Shattered States era. For Saga level 1, gain control of target creature until the end of the turn. Untap it, gains haste until the end of the turn. For stage 2, creatures you control get +1/+0 until the end of the turn. And then stage 3, just like everything else, it transforms into the Nameless Conqueror. It's got trample and haste and it's a 3/3 human samurai. We've already seen Shrine Steward. We've got a Spirited Companion. Creature Dog. When Spirited Companion enters the battlefield, draw a card. Circuit Mender. Artifact creature insect. When Circuit Mender enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life. When it leaves the battlefield, we draw a card. Goro Goro, Disciple of Ryusei. And its creatures you control gain haste until the end of the turn. That's for a red mana. And for 5 mana, create a 5/5 red dragon spirit creature token with flying. Activate only if you control an attacking modified creature. Right. We've got 38 packs left after this one. Let's see if we can get through them quite relatively quickly. Greater Tanuki. Enchanted Creature Dog. We could make a nice dog deck. We've got a dog on the last one. Channel for... Oh, it's got Trample. It's a 6/5. For a channel cost of 3, discard Greater Tanuki. Search your library for a basic land card. Put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. We've seen the Aki Ronin Goblin. Voltage Surge. Instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may sacrifice an artifact. Voltage Surge deals 2 damage to the target creature or planeswalker. This spell's additional cost was paid. Deals 4 damage instead. We've seen Explosive Entry. And we've seen the Dismal Backwater with the Demir blue-black colours. We've got Behold the Unspeakable. Stage 1, creatures you don't control get -2/-0 until next turn. Stage 2, if you have 1 or fewer cards in hand, draw 4 cards, otherwise scry 2, then draw 2 cards. And then transform it. Stage 3, Vision of the Unspeakable. It's an enchantment creature spirit. Flying and Trample. Vision of the Unspeakable gets +1/+1 for each card in your hand. So that explains the stage 2. Goshin Tai of Hidden Cruelty. Death Touch. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay 1. When you do, destroy target creature with toughness X or less, where X is the number of shrines you control. And we've got Kura the Boundless Sky, legendary creature, dragon spirit. When Kura the Boundless Sky dies, choose 1, search your library for up to 3 land cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle. Or create an XX green spirit creature token where X is the number of lands you control. Lovely. Next up, we've seen this one. We've almost got a play set of those. Jukai Preserver. When Jukai Preserver enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. For a channel cost of 3, discard Jukai Preserver. Put a 1/1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures you control. Light the Way. It's an instant, and we get to choose one. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature or vehicle. Untap it. Return target permanent you control to its owner's hand. Sounds a bit like an Unsummon or a Fade in Hope, but for white basically. Suit Up, we've seen that. Blossom and Sands, we've seen that. The Celestia colours, green and white. Sky Blessed Samurai for 7 mana. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each enchantment you control. Gets down to 4/4. And we've got a Secluded Courtyard. It's a land. Enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Tap it to add colourless mana. And then we can tap it to add 1 mana of any colour. Spend this mana only to cast a creature spell of the chosen type, or activate an ability of a creature or creature card of the chosen type. And we get the Reality Chip. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. As long as the Reality Chip is attached to a creature, you may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. Lovely. And it looks like it's a defender. 0/4. And you can reconfigure, so that's pretty sweet. You can attach it to a target creature, and that enables you to look at the top card of your library and play lands and creatures from it. And we've got Intercessor's Arrest. Enchanted permanent can't attack, block or crew vehicles. Its activated abilities can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. So that'll be good to slow somebody down. We've seen Harmonious Emergence, because it enchants the land to a 4/5. We've seen a Futurist Sentinel, Kami of Industry. We've got Orokai Merge Keeper, Snake Druid, and tap to add green mana. As long as Orokai Merge Keeper is modified, it has tap, add 2 green mana. Be good for a ramp deck. Covered Technician. It's got ninjutsu. It's a human ninja. Whenever Covered Technician deals combat damage to a player, you may put an artifact card with mana value less than or equal to that damage from your hand onto the battlefield. Got Light Paws, Emperor's Voice. Legendary creature Fox Advisor. Whenever an aura enters the battlefield under your control, if you cast it, you may search your library for an aura card with mana value less than or equal to that aura with a different name than each aura you control. Put that card onto the battlefield attached to Light Paws, Emperor's Voice, then shuffle. And that's a 2/2. So we've seen Simian Sling. We've got Moth Rider Patrol. It's a Fox Warrior. Tap target creature for 4 mana. That's pretty cool. Commune with Spirits. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an enchantment or land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. That's for 1 mana. That's pretty sweet. We've seen that one, and we've seen this. We've seen this too. Touch the Spirit Realm for 3 mana, and it's an enchantment. When Touch the Spirit Realm enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target artifact creature until Touch the Spirit Realm leaves the battlefield. And for a channel cost of 2, discard Touch the Spirit Realm, exile target artifact or creature, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step.
As sure as the moon rises,
And
so too shall Phyrexia ascend.
And we've picked up a Planeswalker card. Lovely. Amazing. Yes. Woo! So, completed. Can be paid with green or blue or 2 life. If life was paid, this Planeswalker enters with 2 fewer loyalty counters. So it'll come in with 3 loyalty if you use the Phyrexian mana and use the 2 life instead. So, completed. Yeah. So, the +1 is tap up to 1 target artifact or creature. It doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. And for -X, exile target non-land permanent card with mana value X from your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of that card. Or for -7, create Tamiyo's Notebook, a legendary colourless artifact token with spells you cast cost 2 less to cast and tap to draw a card. So Tamiyo's Notebook's there. Lovely. I'm glad we've got a Planeswalker. We've never really pulled Planeswalkers from our packs, so it's good to see. We've got an Uncharted Haven again. Planar Incision. It's an instant. Exile target artifact or creature, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control with a 1/1 counter on it. We've got Papercraft Decoy already. Armguard Familiar. Artifact creature, equipment beast, ward 2. Now I like ward. Ward's always good. Equipped creature gets +2/+1 and has ward 2. Reconfigure for 4, so we can attach it to something else for 4, and then something else gets a ward for 2. Network Disruptor. Moonfolk Rogue. When Network Disruptor enters the battlefield, tap target permanent. When We Were Young. It's an instant. Up to 2 target creatures each get +2/+2 until the end of the turn. If you control an artifact and an enchantment, those creatures also gain lifelink until the end of the turn. Oh, that's pretty sweet. We've seen Seismic Wave. We've got March of Swirling Mist for X plus a blue. And it's instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may exile any number of blue cards from your hand. This spell costs 2 less to cast for each card exiled this way. Up to X target creatures phase out. So that's good if you've got an opponent with a few life left but they've got loads of creatures. You can phase them out and get your attacking lines through, and it's always handy. It's like a Spectral Geist or something, which is good for that as well. Let's see, Imperial Oath. For 6 mana, create 3/2/2 white samurai creature tokens with vigilance, and then scry for 3. Well, that's pretty sweet. I like that. Scrying's always good to see what you want off the top of your deck. Tales of Master Seshiro. Stage 1 and 2 is put a 1/1 counter on target creature or vehicle you control. Gains vigilance until the end of the turn. Exile it for stage 3 and it turns into Seshiro's Living Legacy. It's got vigilance and haste. It's a snake warrior and it's a 5/5. Pretty sweet. We've got the Dragonfly Suit. Season of Renewal. Choose one or both. Well, you're going to choose both, aren't you? Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Return target enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. Well, if you've got one of each in the graveyard, you're going to pick both of them, aren't you? We've got that one. Roaring Earth. For 2 mana, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on target creature or vehicle you control. Channel. For X plus 2 green mana, discard Roaring Earth, put X plus 1/1 counters on target land you control. Becomes a 0/0 green spirit creature with haste. It's still a land. Sokenzen, Crucible of Defiance. It's a legendary land. It'll be the same as the other one, I would have thought. Discard it for 4. Crucible of Defiance. Create 2/1/1 colourless spirit creature tokens. They gain haste until the end of the turn. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature you control. I like the fact we're getting our legendary lands and we don't have to waste our wild cards for them. So these here, we're starting to see a lot of non-firsts. We've already had them. Kitsune Ace. Creature, Fox Pilot. Whenever a vehicle you control attacks, choose one. That vehicle gains first strike until end of turn, or untap Kitsune Ace. And we've got Nezumi Blade Blesser. A Rat Samurai. Nezumi Blade Blesser has Death Touch as long as you control an artifact. Nezumi Blade Blesser has Menace as long as you control an enchantment. Blade Blizzard Kitsune. Fox Ninja. There's a lot of foxes and dogs. I think there'll be some decks focused around foxes and dogs, to be fair. creature, Fox Ninja, ninjutsu for 4, and it's got double strike. So that'll be good to switch out with another ninjutsu and get the double strike off it. Michiko's Reign of Truth for Saga Stage 1 and 2. Target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each artifact and or enchantment you control. That could be quite powerful if you've got everything's artifacts or enchantments so far. Exile this saga and transform. Portrait of Michiko gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control. Lovely, that could be quite rampy as well. March of Swirling Mist. We've had one of these already, so we'll not go through that again. Phases the creatures. Master's Rebuke. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker you don't control. Mnemonic Sphere. So for 2 mana, sacrifice Mnemonic Sphere, draw 2 cards, channel. We can discard it and draw a card. Season Renewal we've had. Disruption Protocol. It's an instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, tap an untapped artifact you control or pay 1, counter target spell. Like counter spells, they're pretty sweet. We've seen that one. Kumano faces Kakazan. Stage 1 deals 1 damage to each opponent and each planeswalker they control. Stage 2, when you cast your next creature spell this turn, that creature enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it, and then we transform it on stage 3 for Etching of Kumano, and it's a human shaman enchantment creature. Haste, if a creature dealt damage this turn by a source you controlled would die, exile it instead. And we've got Kotos the Silent Spider. So it's a human ninja. When Kotos the Silent Spider enters the battlefield, exile target card other than a basic land card from an opponent's graveyard. Search that player's graveyard, hand and library for any number of cards with the same name as that card, exile them. Then that player shuffles. For as long as you control Kotos, you may play one of the exiled cards and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any colour to cast it. Nice. So we're through about 23 packs now, and we're getting quite a lot. Have we made some decent wild cards? We've got 20 rares and 5 mythic rares, so we can pick up bits and bobs we want along the way if we need to tweak any decks or anything. Heir of the Ancient Fang. Heir of the Ancient Fang enters the battlefield with a 1/1 counter on it if you control a modified creature. We've also got Lethal Exploit. Target creature gets -2/-2 until the end of the turn, gets an additional -1/-1 until the end of turn for each modified creature you controlled as you cast this spell. That's probably one of few extra debuff cards that we've seen. They all seem to be like enchantments or vehicles at the moment. Reckoner Shakedown. Oh, looks lovely that. Target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose a non-land card from it. If you do, that player discards that card. If you don't, put 2 1/1 counters on a creature or vehicle you control. Upriser Renegade, Human Samurai. Upriser Renegade gets +2/+0 for each other modified creature you control. And we get, we've already got this one, but it's good that we've got another one. Takenuma Abandoned Maya. It's the one where mill 3 cards, return a creature or a planeswalker card from your graveyard to your hand. The Modern Age. Another saga. So stage 1 and 2, draw a card and discard a card. And then transform it on 3 for Vector Glider. It's a creature spirit flying with 2/3. We've seen all the others apart from Dokuchi Silencer with Ninjutsu. Whenever Dokuchi Silencer deals combat damage to a player, you may discard a creature card. When you do, destroy target creature or planeswalker that player controls. And a Sokensen Smelter. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay 1 and sacrifice an artifact. If you do, create a 3/1 red construct artifact creature token with haste. Lovely. It'll be good for some tempo and aggro decks there. Brilliant Restoration. Oh, look at that. That's a lovely card. 3, 4, 5, 7 mana. It's a sorcery. Return all artifact and enchantment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Lovely. Almost sounds like that one that I use in the Golgari Toxrill deck, where you exchange your hand and your graveyard. Infinite something it's called. I can't remember what it's called, to be fair, but it sounds a bit similar to that. It would be handy. Look at that. All firsts in this one. Lovely. Bearer of Memory. Human Monk. For 6 mana, put a 1/1 counter on target enchantment creature. Gains trample until the end of the turn. Oh, that's a bit of a cost, isn't it? Brute Suit. Brute Suit. It's a vehicle. Vigilance and Crew 1. It's a 4/3. Small Pierce. Counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 2. That'll be definitely going into my Demir, what you call it, control deck. For 1 mana, I mean, that's worth it, isn't it? It's better than the Jawari Disruption. Crackling Emergence. Enchant land you control. Enchanted land is a 3/3 red spirit creature with haste. It's still a land. If it will be destroyed, sacrifice, and that land gains indestructible until the end of the turn. We've got a different version of that in a different colour, I believe. I think it was black. Gift of Wrath. Enchant artifact or creature. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +2/+2 as menace. When Gift of Wrath leaves the battlefield, create a 2/2 red spirit creature token with menace. Leech Gauntlet. Equipment Leech. Lifelink. Equipped creature has lifelink. Reconfigure for 4. Lovely. Prodigy's Prototype. Artifact Vehicle. Whenever one or more vehicles you control attack, create a 1/1 colourless pilot creature token with this creature crews vehicles as though its power were 2 greater. Lovely. So I can crew for 3 then, if it's a 1/1. Yeah. And farewell, we've got another one of these. If we can get a play set of these, it'll save us a lot of rare wildcards anyway, so that's pretty decent. 27 packs left. Repel the Vile. Exile target creature with power 4 or greater. Exile target enchantment. Chainfall Centipede. Equipment Insect. Whenever Chainfall Centipede or a quick creature attacks, it gets +2/+0 until end of the turn, and it's got a reconfigure of 2. Bamboo Grove Archer. Defender, Reach, and channel cost of 5. Discard it. Destroy target creature with flying. Right, we've got these. It's handy to have those. Assassin's Ink. This spell costs 1 less to cast if you control an artifact and 1 less to cast if you control an enchantment. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. Now that's a really good card. Blade of Dione. Menace. So Menace is a creature with menace, can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. Quick creature has a base power and toughness 5/5. Has menace and is a black demon in addition to its other colours and types. Lovely, I like that. It's a very good card. Oh, we've got quite a lot of these. We've got the Scoured Barrens, so we're getting there, all of our lands at least. Thornwood Falls, so we've got, what do you call it? A Simic, is it Simic? Green and blue? Not entirely sure on that. I'll have to revise my knowledge base for the different colours and what they're called. But this is the green and blue version where you just gain 1 life. Story Weave for 3. Choose 1. Put 2/1/1 counters on target creature you control. Put 2 law counters on target saga you control. Next time one or more enchantment creatures enter the battlefield under your control this turn, each enters with 2 additional 1/1 counters on it. Oh, and we got a mythic rare wildcard. They're always handy as well. Kami of Terrible Secrets. Creature Spirit. When Kami of Terrible Secrets enters the battlefield, if you control an artifact and an enchantment, you draw a card and you gain 1 life. The Unstoppable Ogre. It's a creature ogre warrior. When Unstoppable Ogre enters the battlefield, target creature can't block this turn. Moonfolk Puzzle Maker. Moonfolk Wizard. Whenever Moonfolk Puzzle Maker becomes tapped, scry 1. We've got that already. We've got another mythic rare wildcard. Lovely. Not going to complain at that one. We have got Twisted Embrace. Enchant artifact or creature you control. When Twisted Embrace enters the battlefield, destroy target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +1/+1. We've got Jungle Hollow, which is the Golgari version of the land, which is black and green. Hotshot Mechanic. Fox Pilot. Hotshot Mechanic crews vehicles as though its power were 2 greater. So, yep, its power will be 4 then, so it'd be able to crew something which is 4 on its own. Ishin 2 Heavens as 1. I'm not sure what the 3 colour combination is for this one. I don't know what it's called, but it's red, white and black. If a creature attacking causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So we've got an Imperial Subduer. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, tap target creature you don't control. Moon Snare Specialist, Ninjutsu for 3. When it enters the battlefield, return up to 1 target creature to its owner's hand. Containment Construct, Artifact Creature Construct. Whenever you discard a card, you may exile that card from your graveyard. If you do, you may play that card this turn. And another saga, Life of Toshiro Umezawa for stage 1 and 2. Target creature, you get to choose one. Target creature gets 2/2 until end of turn, or target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. You gain 2 life. So that's the 3 choices there. It transforms into Memory of Toshiro. It's a human samurai. Pay 1 life, add black mana, spend this mana only to cast an instant or sorcery spell, and that's a 2/3. And we've got an Inventive Iteration, which is our rare card. Return up to 1 target creature or planeswalker to its owner's hand. Stage 2, return an artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. If you can't draw a card. For stage 3, it turns into Living Breakthrough, and it's an enchantment creature, Moonfolk, flying. Whenever you cast a spell, your opponent can't cast spells with the same mana value as that spell until your next turn. Mukotai Ambusher, Ninjutsu for 2, and it's got a lifelink. It's a rat ninja. Peerless Samurai, human samurai with menace, can't be blocked unless by 2 or more creatures. When you control attacks alone, the next spell you cast this turn costs 1 less to cast. And we've got another Celestia land here. Everything else we seem to have. Oh, look at this. A Tushi, the Blazing Sky. This is probably the best dragon that there is. When Utushi, the Blazing Sky, dies, choose 1. Exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play those cards, or create 3 treasure tokens. Treasure tokens are always good for ramp decks, but the card advantage there is pretty sweet because you can play them until the end of your next turn. if you're looking for something in particular. That's very handy. Right, let's have a look. We've got everything in this pack. We're happy to have this though. We've got another brilliant restoration, so that's going to be handy. But we had every single card in this this pack, so we're just moving on. Right, a couple of new ones here. Kami's Flare. For 2 mana, it's an instant. Deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Kami's Flare also deals 2 damage to that permanent's controller if you control a modified creature. We've seen the rest of these ones. Tawashi Guidebot, artifact creature construct. When Tawashi Guidebot enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. For 4 mana, we can tap, draw a card. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each modified creature you control. And we've got another Light Pause Emperor's Voice. I remember this one from earlier on. We don't need to go back through that, do we? No. Let's just continue on. I'm glad we pulled the Planeswalker in these packs as well. Let's have a look. So we've seen all of these ones here. See, high speed hover bike. It's a vehicle artifact. We can flash it in, so that'll be good for defensive purposes if we need to. Flying, when high speed hover bike enters the battlefield, tap up to 1 target creature, and it's got a crew cost of 1, and it's a 2/2. Goshin Tai of Boundless Vigor. It's a shrine creature. Trample, at the beginning of your end step, you may pay 1. When you do, put a 1/1 counter on target shrine for each shrine you control. March of Reckless Joy, for X and a red mana. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may exile any number of red cards from your hand. This spell costs 2 less to cast for each card exiled this way. Exile the top X cards of your library. You may play up to 2 of those cards until the end of your next turn. I'm sure there was another coloured card that was similar to that one. So we've got every single one of these cards here. These are all the commons down here, and these are the uncommons. So let's have a look. Eo, the Dawn Sky. So we've got the legendary creature Dragon Spirit, the white one. We did get the red one as well, and we think we've got the green one as well, which is pretty sweet. When Eo, the Dawn Sky dies, choose 1. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. Put any number of non-land permanent cards with total mana value 4 less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order, or put 2 1/1 counters on each permanent you control that's a creature or vehicle. Lovely. 17 packs left. Let's have a look. Bloodfell Caves. So this is the Rakdos version of that land with the black or red. I think we've pretty much got one of every single one now, which is pretty cool. Was it Rabbit Battery? Rabbit Battery? Equipment Rabbit. It's got haste. Equipped creature gets 1/1 and has haste. And to reconfigure for 1 mana. Jugan defends the temple. So stage 1 is create a 1/1 green human monk creature token with tap, add green mana. Stage 2 is put a 1/1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures and transform it on 3 for Remnant of the Rising Star, and that is a dragon spirit with flying. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay X. When you do, put X +1/+1 counters on that creature. As long as you control 5 or more modified creatures, Remnant of the Rising Star gets +5/+5 and has trample. Iron Apprentice. Artifact creature construct. Iron Apprentice enters the battlefield with a 1/1 counter on it. When Iron Apprentice dies, if it had counters on it, put those counters on target creature you control. That is really good as well. I like that. Kindled Fury. An instant for 1. Target creature gets +1/+0 and gains first strike until the end of the turn. And we've got Oni Cult Anvil. It's an artifact. Whenever one or more artifacts you control leave the battlefield during your turn, create a 1/1 colourless construct artifact creature token. This ability triggers only once each turn. Sacrifice an artifact. Any cult, any anvil deals 1 damage to each opponent. You gain 1 life. And we've got a rare wildcard. Lovely. They always come in handy. We've also got another mythic one there. We seem to have every one of this, and we've already had this one. We've got 3 of those now. Next, Ninja's Kunai. A quick creature has 1 tap. Sacrifice Ninja's Kunai. Ninja's Kunai deals 3 damage to any target. Equip 1. Right, sweet. Yep, we've got everything else. Fable of the Mirror Breaker, Reflection of Kiki Jiki. We've already seen that, so that's pretty sweet. Transforms into. Alright, they're the different tokens that it has. Okay, next. Finding that we've got quite a lot of these now, so we must be nearing the end of having all of these. All of the common ones anyway. It'll be the rares and the mythic rares that we don't get everything of, so that's why it'll be handy to have the rare wildcards and the mythic rares. We've already got this one as well, I believe. I'm down to 12 packs now. So here we go. Return to action. I like the style of that card. Until the end of the turn, target creature gets +1/+0 and gains lifelink, and when this creature dies, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. We've got Tamiyo's Safekeeping. It's an instant. Target permanent you control gains hexproof and indestructible until the end of the turn. You gain 2 life. And we've seen all of the other ones. And we've got another Farewell. We've got 3 of those now. Aki Warpaint. Enchantment Aura. Enchant artifact or creature. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +2/+1. And we've got everything else as well. So we've already Dragon Kami Reborn. We haven't had this one though. Stage 1 and 2, you gain 2 life. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Exile one of them face down with a hatching counter on it. Then put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Exile this saga, return it to the battlefield transformed. It's Dragon Kami's Egg. Whenever Dragon Kami's Egg or a dragon you control dies, you may cast a creature spell from among cards you own in exile with hatching counters on them without paying its mana cost. That's a handy card. 10 packs left after this one. We've got an Eigangjo Exemplar. Oh, some of these are hard to pronounce. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, it gets 1/1 until the end of the turn. We've got a Tamiyo's Completion. Flash. We can flash it in whenever we want. Enchant artifact, creature or planeswalker. When Tamiyo's Completion enters the battlefield, tap enchanted permanent. If it's an equipment, unattach it. Enchanted permanent loses all abilities and doesn't untap during its control's untap step. Dockside Chef. For 2 mana, sacrifice an artifact or creature, draw a card. We've got a Kumino faces Kakazan again. Mindlink Mech. For 3 mana, it's flying. It's a 4/3. Whenever Mindlink Mech becomes crewed for the first time each turn, until the end of the turn, Mindlink Mech becomes a copy of target non-legendary creature that crewed it this turn, except it's a 4/3. It's a vehicle artifact in addition to its other types, and it has flying. All a mouthful. We're going to really need to play them to get used to how they work and what works best with what. But we're going to test things out off camera, and then come back with some good decks to use. A lot of the decks that I do use come from the meta listings on untapped.gg. It normally lists them down here, but obviously it needs updating because of the new set. And also there's a couple of guys I watch on YouTube which come out with some good decks, but credit is where credit is due. I will not claim other people's work as my own. I will give the due credit to them, and I will still use the decks, of course, but I'll not say something as far as to say I've created this deck if I've not created that deck. I'm not that sort of guy. I do not take credit away from other people, and that is a firm stance that I will take. We've got a Prosperous Thief, which sounds like it's going to go into a rogue deck. It's got ninjutsu. Whenever one or more ninja or rogue creatures you control deal combat damage, create a treasure token. It's the only other new card there. Tameshi Reality Architect. Now this is a Moonfolk Wizard, legendary creature. Whenever one or more non-creature permanents are returned to hand, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. And for X and a white mana, return a land you control to its owner's hand. Return target artifact or enchantment card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. So if you've got a enchantment or artifact that's in the graveyard, it's been dismissed, you can get that back for the price of a land, I think. Well, a land to your hand anyway. Land to your hand. That rhymed. 8 more packs after this one. And let's see. Windscrag Crag. Alright, so we've got a Boros version. I forgot we haven't had them all. Oh, we're getting quite a lot of them here. It's pretty sweet. The Dragon Kami Reborn. We just had that in a different pack. Lucky Offering. Sorcery. Destroy target artifact with mana value 3 or less. You gain 3 life. Lovely. We get another Rakdos land. The Dawn Sky. Well, we've got 2 of those now, and that's pretty sweet. I like that. See if we can get another Planeswalker. Come on, give us a Planeswalker. Aki Emberkeeper. So whenever a non-token modified creature you control dies, create a 1/1 colourless spirit creature token. We've got Golden Tail Disciple, a Fox Monk, lifelink with 2/3. Silver Fur Master, looks like Master Splinter from the Turtles. I wonder if, like the Innistrad, when you get the collector booster packs, on Paper Magic especially, they have like themed. So Edgar was like Dracula, or was it Markov? I can't remember which one. But I wonder if they do like a turtle version. That'd be pretty sweet. Yeah, let's see. Ninjutsu abilities you activate cost 1 less to activate. Other ninja and rogue creatures you control get +1/+1. That sounds pretty sweet for a Demir deck. Scrap Welder. Golden Artificer. Tap, sacrifice an artifact with mana value X. Return target artifact card with mana value less than X from your graveyard to the battlefield. Gains haste until the end of the turn. Let's see, what have we got? Sunblade Samurai. Vigilance and a channel cost of 2. Discard Sunblade Samurai. Search your library for a basic plains card. Reveal it, put it in your hand, shuffle, you gain 2 life. So that's if you miss your mana drops. You can channel for the mana. Awakened Awareness. X +2 blue. Enchant artifact or creature. When Awakened Awareness enters the battlefield, put X +1/+1 counters on enchanted permanent. As long as the enchanted permanent is a creature, it has base power and toughness 1/1. And we've got another one of these. Legendary Land. got a playset of those lands. You are already dead. For 1 black. Destroy target creature that was dealt damage this turn. Draw a card. Careful Cultivation. Enchant artifact or creature. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +1/+3 and has reach and tap, add 2 green mana. Channel for 2 mana, that's 1 and 1 green. Discard Careful Cultivation, create a 1/1 green human monk creature token with tap, add 1 mana. We've definitely got a play set of these now. Discover the Impossible. That's the samurai guy in the board, isn't it? Look at the top 5 cards of your library, exile one of them face down and put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. You may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost. If it's an instant spell with mana value 2 or less, if you don't, put that card into your hand. We've had that, High Speed Hover Bike. Meshy Reality Architect, we've had that already as well. We're getting down to the nitty gritty now. Few cards left. Gloom Shrieker to Golgari mana, Cat Beast. Menace, when Gloom Shrieker enters the battlefield, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. If Gloom Shrieker would die, exile it instead. March of the Wretched Sorrow. That's an additional cost to cast this spell. You may exile any number of black cards from your hand. This spell costs 2 less to cast for each card exiled this way. And we've had a couple of different coloured cards with the same as that. We must have one for each colour. We've got all of these. We've got a Cloudsteel Kirin already as well. Let's head to the last couple of packs. The first here, Azari Captain. For 5 mana, it's got haste, it's a human samurai. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each samurai or warrior you control. We've got the Kamigawa. Wow. 5 colours. 6 mana, 1 of each colour. So, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls. Stage 2. Return up to 1 other target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, then each opponent discards a card. And then transform. Okagachi Made Manifest. Okagachi Made Manifest is all colours. Flying, trample. Whenever Okagachi Made Manifest attacks, defending player chooses a non-land card in your graveyard. Return that card to your hand. Okagachi Made Manifest gets +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is the mana value of that card, and it's a 6/6. That's a really nice card. I like that. You're gonna have to play every single one of these types of cards to be able to get there, I think. And our last pack. Let's hope we get something really special, especially here. Fading Antiquity. Exile target artifact or enchantment. Reinforced Ronin. It's a human samurai. Haste. At the beginning of your end step, return Reinforced Ronin to its owner's hand. There we go. March of Burgeoning Life. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may exile any number of green cards from your hand. So we've got the green version of that. So I think we've got one of everything. What else have we got here? 15 more packs until our next mythic rare wildcard. 3 more to our rares. We've got 25 rares and 8 mythic rare to have a look at. So there we have it, guys. We're going to take a quick look at the Mastery Pass as well. I say the Mastery. So we are going to get this at some point. I'm just waiting a little bit first. So yeah, we're going to get one pack, another pack. Let's take a look at the Mastery tree. So where are we at? So we here. We get to there, or if we start here and we get to there, Let me just have a look at all the different ones. Oh, these all look really nice. Yep, we'll be heading towards those. Let's have a look. What else is there further on? So there's quite a lot of packs to unlock. Oh, what's this here? Betrayal of Flesh. Nice. Lovely. Let's see what's in the store. Is there any new items in the store that we want? We definitely want the basic lands, if we can. Oh, so they're 25,000 gold. We definitely want these basic lands. They look amazing. Sticker bundle. I think we'll leave that until we gather the gold for it. Alright, I didn't think they were going to be that much, but we'll leave it for now. We're almost there anyway. Another week and we'll have these. So yeah, we'll do that. We've already looked at the day's deals. So thank you very much for joining me on my new series of Magic the Gathering, the Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. I've been your host today, Dark Mazda for Dark Mazda Series Gaming. I will just drop these videos whenever I can be bothered. I've got other videos that drop like one every other day, and at the moment we are doing Octopath Traveler and Story of Seasons, and when those run out I'll do these videos regular, as long as I've got enough content to keep going. I don't want to keep boring you with using the same deck video after video. I want to try and mix it up a bit and use different decks if I can. It keeps things fresh and we get to learn the cards that way as well. So thank you very much if you've made it to the end of the video. Watching this content supports it, and until next time, that's goodbye from me, and I will see you guys on the flip side.